YouTube, Northeast Ohio here, and we're gonna start a little series of videos. So what I would like to do, and I've gotten this request a lot in comments recently, and it's something I've been planning on digging into. So we're gonna start off today. We are gonna look at NBA off-season targets. So what I'm going to do is go through each team that we're going to start with the teams that did not make the playoffs. I'm going to go through each team and try to find at least one player per team that we should be buying now. And the purpose of this is semi-twofold. Guys we should be buying now to hold in the lead up to next season. That would be like the 101 version. The 102 version would be buying the same guys, but getting their stuff graded. Because for all intents and purposes, we are in the NBA offseason now. I know that we're really not, the Eastern Conference Finals haven't even started yet, and the Western Conference Finals, but we're basically down to like 5 teams that are left, because this is before the Raptors Celtics game 7. But the Heat have moved on. The Clippers look like they're going to move on. Lakers Rockets is still a little bit of a toss up, but you basically have the 2 LA teams, the Heat, and then whoever wins the Raptors and Celtics. So there's basically like 4.5 teams left. So this is the time that you should be doing your NBA grading. You're buying and you're grading of NBA guys. There's going to be at minimum, let's see, this is September. I'm going to say a good 4 to 5 months before the next season starts. They've already pushed back the NBA draft to mid to late November. I don't think there's a set date yet, but it got announced, I think, yesterday that the NBA draft is getting pushed back. And I don't expect the season to start until at the earliest, like the week of Christmas. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed in the next year. So if you buy players now, you should be able to get them sent off to grading, and get them back before the season starts. But you can't wait. You need to start now. PSA economy orders seem to be running about 60 total business days ish. BGS, which I don't want to say we're anti-BGS here, but I'm not big on sending cards to be graded by BGS anymore. BGS is like running, I haven't even checked their current times lately. They are so far behind. And SGC's whole it can wait thing, we don't really know what that's running yet. They're estimated as like 50 to 55 business days right now, but I don't know that I believe that, just based on my own personal experiences with my previous 2 SGC orders. And I don't know how upfront they are actually being and transparent with their turnaround times. PSA's economy order seems to be the best. So for the purposes of this experiment, we are going to assume that you are sending PSA economy, which is $20 a card and around a 3-month turnaround time. And most of that turnaround time is the check-in process. It takes them a month to check the order in, and the clock doesn't start until the order's checked in. And the current clock is between 40 and 45 business days. So 20 business days to get it checked in, and then another 40 business days. That's where I'm getting the 3 months from. So if you send an order off this week, it would get checked in early October, and then be done by early December. You get the month of October to grade, the month of November to grade, and then it gets shipped back to you. So assuming the season starts around Christmas time, if not later, we still have some time here. So the next few days, and I may do these daily, that's a little more aggressive than when I kick content out. We're going to be going through some of these off-season teams. So let's get into it. Today, we are going to talk about the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pistons, and the Knicks. And I'm not like shattering any, these are, in my opinion, fairly obvious targets. But I think once you see what they sell for raw compared to what they sell for in PSA 10s, you start to see in a fact that this is the window of time you should be doing this, because the NBA market is going to stay relatively flat, if not downtrend. Also, on most of these guys, the price point entry is cheap. So if you're just starting out, these are good. I'm going to try to limit this to guys that are on the lower end, like last year's rookies or maybe the year before. So I'm going to try not to get into too expensive of guys, because I want to keep the entry point cheap so you can buy in bulk, grade in bulk, and if you're still on a low bankroll, this is a good way to boost that up. So the first one we're going to talk about is my boy, Kevin Porter Jr. from the Cavs. I love KPJ. I have a ton of KPJ, full disclosure. So I'm not trying to pump or anything here. And I'm not the first person to be on the KPJ bandwagon. A lot of people love him. He looked great last year in limited run with the Cavs, and he looked really good when he got more playing time. The concern is they already have a glut of guards, and we don't know what they're going to do with their draft pick yet. But I think he's talented enough. Most people seem to think he's talented enough that if you redrafted the lottery, he would be a lottery pick for sure. So what we have in front of us, and I'm mostly going to talk about base Prism, but you can extrapolate this to whatever set that you want. So if you're an optic guy, the same rules apply. The entry point's probably going to be different, and the resale on the PSA 10 is going to be different. So for KPJ here, we can see his base Prism PSA 10s are going for about $6. That's like nothing in NBA Prism standards. And you can see here his PSA 10 of the base Prism sells for $120. Now that's a recent little spike. Before that, it was going for about $100. But for $5 a card plus $25 to grade it, to get in at 100, to then, if you could pop a couple PSA 10s, that's a really nice return, guys. I don't think I should have checked this earlier. Sorry, doing this on the fly. Okay, so let's say, you pop back a couple PSA 9s. It looks like you basically are at a wash. A PSA 9 is going for $30. If you paid $6 plus $20 to grade it, plus your shipping to get it there and back, plus your fees when you sell it, you might lose a little bit. But if you're smart when you buy the cards and make sure that you're paying attention to centering and all that stuff, when you get them back, so you buy 10 of these for $60, you grade them, that's $200. So you're into it for $260. If 3 of them get 10s, if you hit 30%, that's $360 right there. And that's off of, here's the other thing, that's off of today's prices. I fully expect these prices to rise by the time we get to next season. So this is why you want to be grading now, because you're tying the cards up while they're slowly creeping back up again. Not much is going to happen during this next 3 months to drastically affect values, except the hype for next season is going to build, and these things are going to naturally go up. So you kind of hit a twofold there of you're gaining the added value because you're grading, and you're gaining the added value because the market right now is at one of its lowest points that it's going to be. And it's only going to it's probably going to bottom out a little bit more, and then it's going to slowly start to creep up from there. And the other thing with the players that we're targeting, you're getting in at such a low dollar amount that it's not like you're buying $1,000 Luka that can lose 30%. If this Kevin Porter Jr. at $6 loses 30%, you're out like $2, not even. So the scales are a lot different. So you're a lot safer, is basically what I'm getting at. But yeah, so say you pull 5 out of 10 PSA 10s. You get a little, I don't know if that's lucky or unlucky, but say you pull 50% gem rate on PSA 10s. That's almost $600, say $550 after your eBay fees for a $360 investment. Plus, you still have the other 5 that maybe got PSA 9s. Or if you just wanted to buy these raw and sit on them, I fully expect KPJ to be a buzzy guy going into next season. Uh, so that's the first one, Kevin Porter Jr. Once again, I just love this. $6 for raw and $100 to $120 for a PSA 10 at today's prices, with them only expecting to go up from here. Next one up, we're going to talk about the Hawks, and we actually have 2 players from the Hawks. The first one is Cam Reddish. Once again, just his base prism. This is going for $12 right now. $9 to $12. Look like this just got a little bit of a bump. But the PSA 10 is going for almost $150. So once again, $10 entry point, $150 on the PSA 10. And this is going to be a running trend, so it's going to feel like I'm repeating myself on these. But, I mean, you can see the numbers right there. So Reddish is the next one. Good young wing player. And my theory with most of these guys is you get them back graded and you're selling them basically immediately. You're not letting it go in the season. I don't know that Cam Reddish is going to be like the best player in the world and put up huge numbers. But my thought process is to grade these guys and then sell them on the hype of next season or early into next season, depending on when you get them back. But you need to start buying and getting these sent out now to get them back by the end of the year. Next up, also with the Hawks, also our first non-prism card, and that is Trae Young. But we're talking about his optic. Now, the reason I went with his optic is just because his prism is pricey. His base prism is about $70, and I wanted to try to keep this stuff on the lower end. His optic right now is going for about 35-ish. You can see these are on the downswing a little bit. But you can also see his PSA 10 of this is going for $250. The other thing you see is now this card's come down quite a bit. He got pumped in the middle of the NBA bubble, the Florida bubble, not the market bubble. And he got all the way up to 375. So you could easily see the high end range of this card at 375, even though right now it's going for 250. But I can guarantee you that come December, and every talking head on YouTube, myself included, all us idiots, are going to be going, you guys should be buying Trae Young right now because his prices are going to go through the roof. He's a good young player. Buy Trae Young. Yada, yada, yada. Top 5 cards to buy right now. Buy Trae Young. That's going to be the entire month of December for content creators. And I am making fun of myself there a little bit too. And what do you think is going to happen with Trae Young's prices? They're going to go back up. He's one of the best young players in the league. He has a hype train behind him. And even if you hold him a little bit in the season, what did Trae Young do all last year? He just dropped 40-point games left and right. All over the place, 40-point games. Now imagine Trae Young dropping 40-point games in this new NBA world that we're in. Last year when he was going crazy, going for 30 and 40 every single night, the NBA market wasn't what it was. Prices weren't fluctuating. What do you think is going to happen to Trae Young's prices if he goes and rips off like 3 30 to 40-point games in the first week of the season? They're going to go to the moon in this new reactionary NBA market. And I look at this as a low entry point investment. If you only got a few $100 to play around with, Trae Young optic, buy him now. And once again, if you don't want to mess with grading, and I get it, grading can be a pain in the butt. You don't want to mess around with grading. I still think this is a good card to buy and hold raw, and that goes with any of the ones that I'm talking about. I think it is perfectly fine for that. The one thing to be wary on optic, they are tough grades. These PSA 10s are not guaranteed. They're not guaranteed on prisms either, but centering is really critical on optic because they have the 4-sided white border like you could see here, and it is very tough to get one that is well centered. So make sure you're paying close attention to that when you're buying them online. Be careful about the guys posting the eBay pictures at like the 30-degree angle to make the card look cool sitting on the desk. They're not trying to make the card look cool. They're trying to hide the fact that it has 70-30 centering. So if you are looking at stuff like that and it's not a dead-on straight centered picture, message the guy and say, hey, can you send me a better picture of the card dead on? If they won't or they don't respond, move on to the next one. It's a classic trick with photography on sports cards photos to take it at a little bit of an angle to hide exactly how off-centered it is. You don't have to get that far off on an angle to hide that. The other thing with optic are they are tricky on surface as well. They are very nick and scratch prone, kind of like Prism, but I think they're a little worse than Prism. But if you can nail one in a 10, you have a really great return. Even in a PSA 9, I think this card will do extremely well. Next up, Sekou from the Pistons. He was super buzzy like around Christmas last year. His prices went nuts. Then he came back down to reality, and then his market crashed a little bit. But this dude is young. I think he's like 19 or 20, and they have nobody on that team. That team is terrible. It's probably the worst roster in the NBA right now heading into the offseason. So we look here. You can get his base Prism for under $10, about $9 a card. And the PSA 10 version sells for a little over 100. Now, this is trending down. But once again, I think as the season starts, Sekou is going to be a poster child for December YouTube content of guys you should be buying now. Oh, good young player on the Pistons, going to get lots of minutes, going to get lots of run, could put up numbers, go out and get some Sekou. Cool, let's go out and get Sekou now in September, not in December when everyone's pumping them. This is the time you should be buying these guys. I keep saying it over and over again. Sorry to keep repeating myself, but I really want to drill that point in. And then the last one we're going to talk about this morning is the New York Knicks, and that is RJ Barrett. A little bit pricey compared to some of the guys that we've been talking about. He's a little under about $20 a card for raw Prism, and his PSA 10 goes for $187. In this chart, these charts that you're looking at, I'm not really paying too close attention to the charts, but this data down here that you're looking at with this, the high, the start average, the end average, is 60 days. I basically went back to the beginning of August when the NBA market was kind of at its peak, because I think you could kind of use that for where these cards could easily eventually get back to. At one point in time during the NBA market high, RJ Barrett's PSA 10 Prisms were going for around $350. I can easily see it creeping back up, swinging back up to that number as the 2021 season approaches. So once again, we're getting in now at $20. You know, you get them graded, you get a PSA 10, they come back around $200. That's today's pricing. By December, I don't know that it'll be all the way back to $350. But I could see it being high 200s, maybe 300, who knows? And RJ Barrett's going to be another one. New coach, new system, whatever they do in the offseason, yada, yada, yada. He's going to be another one that, you know, people are going to have the pump out on for in the lead up to the season. And by us buying now and getting ahead of this, you know, that's what you should be doing. Everyone's crazy on the NFL market right now, and I get it. But this is when you make your money in the NBA market, is targeting these guys that are well gone, and the NBA market's down. It's a twofold thing going on. These guys haven't played since March, these players, so they're way off everybody's radar. And the NBA market's in its downswing due to the NBA market bubble retracting a little bit, and the offseason beginning to start for a lot of these teams. The money is leaving the NBA and going to the NFL, when really this is the time you should be buying NBA, especially these guys that already have all their price adjustments built in. This isn't Giannis, who's in the middle of his free fall right now. This is RJ Barrett that's been sitting at home playing Call of Duty since March. So that's all I got for you guys today. Once again, this is going to be a series of videos. I think it's probably going to take me at least 3 to get through all the teams that didn't make the NBA bubble in Florida. And then we'll probably get into the teams that were in the playoffs that have already been eliminated. So that might be like a 4th video. But I'm going to try to crank these out. So you guys might see a little bit more content than normal from me over the next 3 to 5 days. Because like I said, we're kind of working in a narrow window here. So I don't want to, just for the sake of saving videos to have later in the month, but it makes it that the window is that much shorter on getting cards back. I'd rather get this information out to you guys now and screw saving videos to have content to be spread out. I don't care about that. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you haven't, click the subscribe button down below. We got through 750 on the last video. Let's get us up over 800. Click the like button, all the YouTube crap down below, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.